Sup, Nerdmigos, and the Jive Talking Nerd John Norgrove. We've got Wife here, and we're back at it again for another review. Jive, it has been a while. Welcome back. Welcome back to me.
3 minutes. Perhaps 3 whole minutes. It's been a while. It's been a while.
We're not doing that.
No, we're not gonna.
We're not gonna.
All right.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Well.
F. Whatever that is. 30 Seconds to Mars. Sklibglob. Whatever.
No, you put the F's in the chat.
That's true. Yeah. The Mars 30 seconds. F's in the chat. All of that makes complete sense. Don't ignore it. Anywho, so welcome back. This is Review Jive, where we are going to be talking today about Dune Part 2.
Yes.
Electric Shy Halud. I don't know. There's not a tagline for that, but that would be a good one.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Denis Villanueva, however you say his name. You can have that. That's for you. Dennis?
I don't.
Whatever.
I don't know.
I've heard it pronounced like 3 different ways. And the last thing we watched about a review of this, the guys were like, we don't know how to pronounce it either. And they said it like 3 different ways. And I was just like, man, that is fucking actually not helpful. Thank you, I guess. Anywho, so we're talking about Dune Part 2. We did not do a review for Dune Part 1. Don't worry about that. But
if you want us to, we will.
But we will.
Let us know.
But so before we get into this review, I want to talk about how we're gonna go over this. So firstly, we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna do like a quickie spoiler-free review of Dune Part 2. And then once we're done with that, we're going to move into a spoiler-full review of the movie, and then we're going to save the comparison to the book stuff until the very end to talk about the differences between the book and the movie.
Yes.
So that way we can kind of get like a better analysis thereof and therein. But so kind of quickly moving right along into spoiler-free review of Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2, if you've not seen it, what do you think? Should you see it?
Absolutely. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You should see it. Absolutely should see it. Asterisk. Watch part 1 first, or you won't know what's happening.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So, yes, you should see it. Asterisk. You should definitely see the first one, though. This is not a closed loop. You are going to be bonkers lost if you do not know what's going on with this movie. But yeah, it's everybody did a great job. It's very beautiful. It is like 2 hours and 50 some odd minutes long. It is
long. It's like 2 hours 47 minutes.
2 hours 46 minutes. Yeah. Which is like too long. However, it doesn't feel like nearly 3 hours.
Once you're in it, it's fast.
It went very quickly. Yeah. So we saw this in theaters just this like a few days ago over the weekend. And it was a pretty fast watch. We did like a morning watch of it, so we could still like do stuff in the day. And it seemed like it went by fairly quickly. Like, sometimes you see that like 90-minute movie and like 40 minutes into that movie, you're like, I have been here for 40 years. Yeah. I am dying. What is happening?
Yeah.
So this definitely feels faster.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how this compares length of actual time that it occupies with Oppenheimer, but this felt shorter than Oppenheimer.
Significantly so.
Right? I mean, I know that you for you, Oppenheimer was like a lot, right? It wasn't a lot for me. But this felt faster, even though I think this might be longer than Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer felt like it was 84 years long. But even still, there's movies that are significantly less than the 3-hour mark that feel like they're very long. And
Oppenheimer was a full 3 hours all the way through. But this movie felt way less. It didn't feel 15 minutes less, my dude. This movie felt like an hour less.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I think it was well paced. And again, like, just, dude, so pretty. Jeez, get out of here with this, my dude. Bloody Rebel Moon wishes it could be visually that stunning. I mean, it tried and failed remarkably.
Yes.
If you would like us to talk about that, comment below and I can do that.
Because we have a lot of words.
I have a lot of words about Rebel Moon, and not one of them is kindness. right? Except for the robot. It's not important. But no, Dune was it well paced, gorgeous, well acted. Overall, a good experience. And I think that if you liked the first one, you are definitely gonna like this one, right? I think if you didn't like the first one, I don't see why you would like this one, but I would further explore why you didn't like the first one.
Yes.
Right? Not like hate. If you don't like this franchise of movies, that's okay. There are a bunch of incredibly popular franchise of movies that I fucking cannot stand. So like I'm totally like whatever, dog. But yeah, definitely it feels like this was all shot in one movie, and then in the cutting room, they were like, oh my God, this is gonna be like a 6-hour movie. And he was just like, bang, do it right there. Next.
Yeah.
You know, so it really feels like you're like immediately starting where the last one ended.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It picks up like immediately.
Yeah, like immediately, which is nice. So yeah. Spoiler free, Hundo Pasundo, go see it. I don't think you have to see it in theaters, even though it is a gorgeous movie, and it being that big and that loud certainly improves the experience of the movie. If you're like not particularly into going to the theater, or like your local theater is awful for
or you
some
just
way,
don't want to do that,
or you just like you're
long.
busy because you know we've got like 9 apocalypses happening.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that stuff. I think waiting until it comes to the TV is perfectly fine. In fact, I know several people who are very hyped to see this movie, who are just waiting for it to hit streaming.
Yeah.
And they're not even going to do the thing, because we were going to wait.
We didn't see the first one in theaters.
Yeah.
So we watched it at home and we're like, this is amazing.
And in fact, we
Also,
didn't even watch it when it first released at home.
Yeah.
We waited until it got taken off of streaming and then got
back.
re-released like later on. And then we were just like, I guess we'll watch whatever with this. We were not like, we're going to be excited. We went into this real like, whatever. Right? And then, because I think I saw it before you, right?
Yes, but like not much further before me.
Yeah.
So,
like I saw it and was just like, listen, but though. And then we watched it and we're just like,
but we're
going to see this again immediately.
Yeah, we're like, we need to watch this again immediately. And like every week I'm like, but we could watch Dune.
Yeah. Well, we've seen the first one. Jeez, man. I don't know.
A few times. Not enough times.
7 times?
But like,
I've probably seen that first Dune movie genuinely 9 times.
That we saw the first one in theaters when we were watching it. So that's why we watched this one in theaters.
Yeah.
But like, if you're not vibing on it, like, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, and we like when the second one was first announced, we were like, we'll just wait for it to come to the whatevers. But like the more we sort of interacted with the universe, and obviously having read through the first Dune book, we're just like, you know what? We want to see this in theaters. Like, why not? And then, of course, we saw that it was like nearly 3 hours, and we were like, maybe we don't see this in theaters. And then we were just like, what else do we have to do? It's a Saturday. Like, we're going to do this. We want to do this. We're going to do this. It's going to be fun. So it was worth it. I did enjoy it in theaters, but I also don't think that it's a theater must see. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, some movies, like, it's just like a very different experience in theaters. Yeah. Whether that's because you've got a crowd laughing along with you. Yeah. Whether or not the movie is intentionally serious is a separate issue. Because I can only imagine that Morbid Time in theaters would have absolutely
that
slayed.
Probably would have been wild.
Yeah, it would have been wild. But yeah, so very good. Highly recommend. So moving forward, let's go into spoiler territorial. Spoiler territorial. And let's do spoiler alerts. Spoiler alerts. That I've warned you 3 times. You should be paying attention now. Spoiler alerts. If you don't want to learn something that you don't need to learn, then that's on you, not me. Spoilery reviews. I really loved all of the scenes in on the Harkonnen homeworld. Yes. I really loved what they did with that. It was so gorgeous. Holy shit. you know,
the whole thing with the black sun was really cool.
Very cool.
And we had just watched something else that did some like very strategic stuff in black and like two other things actually that had done some very strategic things in black and white, and we were like very impressed. So this sort of like pushed that much further. I really like the way that they make a very concerted difference in the culture between like the Fremen on Arrakis and the Atreides family who are from Caladan and the Harkonnens from an entirely like
and the Imperial Court.
You get like,
why are these motherfuckers always just wearing potato sacks? It's crazy.
Like these guys don't feel like they're just different countries. They definitely feel like they're from different worlds.
People, different worlds.
Like completely different people. I really love how they explored that in this movie and in both of the movies. Really. Yeah. But like in this movie, and the time in the Harkonnen homeworld was very cool.
Yeah, very fun.
Very into it.
Loved what they did with the interaction between like Paul and like when Paul finally is like, fine, I'll become fucking Lisan Al Gaib, whatever, right? And so he does it, and then immediately he's just like orating in the thing when he shows up in that like council of commanders or whatever the fuck.
Oh, in the South?
Yeah, in the South. And what's his name's like, you can't talk here unless you kill me, you've got to fight me. And he was like, shut up, what am I gonna do, kill this guy? Look how good he is. That's stupid, you're all stupid. And then just like starts going off, and everybody's just like, Lisan Al Gaib. Also, it technically has nothing to do with this movie, but it is this movie's fault. All of the fucking Lisan Al Gaib
memes are so good.
Dude, I was trading memes earlier today with Alexa. They're so funny. They're so good. Cannot with how good these memes are, right? I saw one where like Paul's like showing an ace of diamonds.
Oh.
And Stilgar is just like Lisan Al Gaib. Like,
I saw the one where it's like the finger thing, you know, that like dads do, where they're like moving the finger like it's been cut
like,
off.
My thumbs off.
Yeah. I saw one of those. That was good. Or just as simple going, is this your card?
Yeah.
Lisan Al Gaib.
Yeah. He knows our ways without training. Lisan Al Gaib. It's so good. It's so good. And like, I know that they're being like, the memes are being like sort of mocking towards Stilgar, which is a little unfair because like Stilgar's such a great character.
Really is.
And he's so good. But at the same time, I mean, he's like, this guy seems pretty all right. And then this guy does like one standing backflip and he's like, this guy might be Jesus though. And you're like, all right. I mean, I feel like you should question it a little more.
Yeah.
But fine, whatever. You know, like, I think that that's more of a like parts unspoken that exist in the book and not in the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Which, again, we're not going to get into that just yet because we want to go through the spoiler-full review. But okay. Also, the sietch.
Yeah.
Like the inside of these sietches, they're fucking beautiful, dude.
Oh my god.
They were so cool looking.
They're so beautiful, and I love Jessica's Bene, like Reverend Mother thing. I love the Bene
Gesserit
Reverend
Mother
outfits.
and Bene Gesserit outfits were fire.
It's got me feeling like I'm gonna be a hat girl.
Like it's time for hats.
It's
like hats
time
and
for
veils.
hats.
That's like hats and veils.
It's time for hats and veils right now.
Yeah, ladies, take Pope hats back.
I just recently made this new flower crown that I'm currently wearing, and I was just like, I don't know, like it's kind of tall. Like, do I want to do that? Like, do I want to remake it and do it low profile? And now I'm just like, this thing isn't tall enough. I need to add some chains.
Yeah.
Is there like a veil?
Yeah.
Can I put like a big old bow on it? Like, what can I do to make it larger?
Pedantic dislike, because it doesn't really matter. Not super hype on the princesses' outfits.
Oh my god, no.
Some of them were cool, but some of them were just like, it was especially the like lazing around ones, which again, like I'm okay with those outfits. It all makes sense in story. The Emperor's wearing it also, but it was just like a rough burlap sack draped over their bodies. And I'm like, I get that it's because you live in like a beautiful paradise place and whatever, but also Wear a fucking belt, dog. What are you doing?
I did not enjoy her outfits.
Some of them were okay. The armor one was kind of cool.
The armor one with like the peekaboo holes was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cute.
But that headpiece that she wears, I can't with that.
The one that's just like dangly knives, or the one that's like a mask that hugs her face?
Actually, both.
Both of those are very weird, dude.
I can't.
The dangly knife ones, I was just like, but why?
Yeah, I was just like,
it's cool, I guess, but like, is dangly pieces of trash what's hot right now in the Capitol? Like, what's going on here?
Well,
I feel like we needed one scene in the Capitol of people just being dangly
none
and
of
weird
the
or some
people from
shit.
the Emperor's court, which we only very briefly see, like wore anything like that.
Yeah.
Like they had the same color scheme.
She didn't dress courtly and she didn't dress Bene Gesserit. So she was just like her own thing, which again, I get, like, it's not bad. And what is that? Florence Pugh, right? Yeah. And she was like good in the role. Like no hate on any of that stuff. But like also her outfits were just like a little weird looking. I was just like a little like, these aren't as cool as they could be. Especially when you've got Jessica in her bloody Reverend Mother outfit, absolutely slaying it on screen. And you're just like, dog, what did she like show up late to dress rehearsal? So you're like, put her in the dumb chain thing. Give all the good ones to this lady. Yeah. Like, it felt so weird.
Lady Margot Fenring, who the other Bene Gesserit, who's like bringing back sholdder cutouts. Yeah. Like, girl, what?
So crazy. It's so crazy that the princess's stuff was like not as high.
I have never before wanted a racerback hoodie. And now, funnily enough, I find that I want a racerback hoodie.
Who'd have thunk?
With chains.
I loved the like visual distinction between the way that the Harkonnens harvest.
Yes.
And the way that the Atreides harvested. How the Harkonnens had like a bigger, more ostentatious, more asshole sort of a contraption.
Like differently shaped. Yeah. Very cool.
I was very into that. Every single fight scene was absolutely phenomenal. I loved bloody what's his name, the wrestler in this?
Oh, Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista
was like born for this role.
I forget what the name of his Harkonnen character was off the top of my head. But he was so flippin' good, dude. Glossu Raban.
Oh, yeah, he was Raban.
He was a Raban, yeah. He was so good at being, like, almost overly obedient. And exactly on the other side of that, bloody, the Gnaw Baron is what they kept calling it. Fade Routha, the Gnaw Baron. Which I love. It's like near Baron.
Space Elvis, shall we say.
Yeah, Space Elvis.
Yeah.
He did a really good job. I'm to understand that he's
a method actor.
So boo, slap on the hand about that shit. But he did a really good job.
He did a really great job.
Terrifying. And like insane. And also, I think we've officially learned that, like, no hair at all on motherfuckers is just, like, not a gangster look.
Yeah. But also, he was like a little like scarexy. He was like a little sexy.
Sure, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, he was like super jacked.
Super jacked.
Yeah, he looks like good. Like good, like dude, good for you, dog. Like have eyebrows. But like good for you, dog. You know, no. He looked amazing in the role.
Yeah.
Like, at all hate on that. And he portrayed that sort of like at any point in time he's gonna stab you just to like be like, what's up about it?
Yeah.
Really, really well.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like we did not get any information about his, quote, pets that he kept in his room, which were those, like, black-eyed, black-teeth nightmare vampire ladies that he just, like, fed people to?
Fed parts of people to?
Or something? I'm just like, can we get more of this, please? Because I want to know what the hell is going on here.
But also, like, I don't want to know because...
I also maybe don't want details.
Yeah,
like maybe tell, don't show. You know what I mean?
Well,
tell, don't show.
Like, I don't even know that I want to tell because then it takes the, like, mystery...
Sure.
The, like, kind of, like, horror out of it. Because they did make him out to be, like, almost a Dracula character.
He is
in the
so
way.
Dracula.
Yeah, he's, like, so totally. Dracula. And it didn't really occur to me at the
Harkonnen
time.
homeworld, like every time you saw the Harkonnens, everybody who wasn't like top tier boys was like vaguely shaking with fear, right?
Yeah.
It's such a distinctly different culture.
Yeah.
And they did such a great job with that. Like, again, like, it was such a visually pleasing movie, and like seeing like all the like back rooms in the Harkonnen homeworld and like all of that was so cool. All the like tech in the Imperial capital was cool.
Gorgeous vistas of Dune.
Yeah, absolutely
making me want to paint sand dunes. Like, I think that we can't go too much further without talking about the differences between
comparison.
the movie and the book.
Yeah.
So, full disclosure here, that is a giant spider.
Oh yeah, that is.
Wow, we just have like a giant spider just come down from the ceiling. And when I said that we need to talk about the book, apparently this gigantic spider has feelings about the book.
He's like, what about none of that shit, shall we?
How about none of that? Oh boy. Okay, wow. All right, anyways.
So that way he can't come back. Oh, okay, hold on. Before we move into book comparison, what's your favorite part of the movie? I know that's not an easy question to answer.
Really tough.
Yeah, it's real tough. What's your favorite part?
You go first. I'm trying to like narrow it down because I'm thinking about like a whole bunch of things at once.
Totally. Okay, so for me, I think my favorite part of the movie was probably when that first fight that you see between the Fremen and the spice collectors. When these dudes are just like coming out of the sand and they've got the missile, the rocket launcher thingy, and they're murdering these guys and then like ducking behind the legs and they gotta like time the leg run. Like that whole sequence really like put into perspective this idea that like this small tactical guerrilla group of Fremen are able to absolutely destroy the Harkonnen control of Dune.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that fight sequence specifically is my favorite because it's just like you see this like as the camera pans over, there's just like sticks sticking out of the ground, and I'm just like, oh, but what are those, like grenades or something like that?
Oh no, I saw those and it was like immediately like they're breathing.
I was like, it's either reeds for breathing, you know, like how you breathe underwater in movies. That doesn't make any sense. It's either like reeds for breathing, or straight up low jack like landmines or some shit like that.
No, I saw it immediately, and
then
I was
they
like,
start like coming out of the ground, and some motherfuckers are like coming down the hill, and it's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic fight scene. Yeah. So yeah, what about for you, best scene?
Oh my god, now I have to go. Oh no.
Yeah.
This is so hard because there's so
many good scenes. I know.
I'm trying to like think about the times that I like got choked up for like no reason.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what? I feel like it's probably Paul's speech at the end.
His speech
at the end inside of the meeting of the Council of the Elders in the South.
Oh, in the South.
I think that's probably it. Because at that moment, I was like, I need to learn this language. This is amazing. Yeah. And it wasn't like it wasn't like I liked it because it was or was not different from the book, or I liked it because of like the costuming, a thing that like I know in myself. I'm just like, but that Lady Jessica reveal, I love that.
Yeah.
Because that was like her Arrakis outfit was like one of my favorite moments from the first Dune movie.
Yeah.
So like,
when she's like all written on and stuff.
Yeah,
cool,
it's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, she's so cool.
Or like when he like rides the sandworm. Like there's
like dope.
Or the fight scenes. There are so many like good spots that I'm legitimately having a difficult time. But it was at the moment when he did his speech in the South that I was like, first of all, I need to see if I can learn this language. Yeah. Because as a like huge Lord of the Rings fan, I want to learn a language that was created only in a book. Give it to me, Duolingo.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And then later on I learned that the language that they speak, which is Chicopsa, the movie team had a linguist create an entire language for the movie so that it could be fully complete, using like words that are found in the variety of books and pulling from Arabic and English and French and German and Spanish. It's really cool, the things that they did there, and I'm like super nerdy about
it. Sounds good. It looks like all of the interaction.
Well, and it's like powerful.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of the like famous Henry V speech, which is basically like sort of the like framework for uplifting speeches in media.
Sure,
the Independence Day speech is basically like a rewritten Henry V speech.
Yeah. Listen,
and
if you don't feel like punching a sci-fi space alien in the face after listening to that Independence Day speech, you don't even have a soul. So that's on you. Yeah. You got to deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, I would let Timothy Chalamet lead me to paradise. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is he a thing though?
I don't entirely know. He's not my type.
Oh, second complaint about the movie. And again, this isn't a complaint, but what happened to that guy's butt? There's like one or two scenes where the camera does like a kind of like a big arcing pan, and I'm just like, this guy's got no butt, dude. Do some squats. Come on, girl. Jesus.
Okay, so back to the book side of things.
So moving on.
So full disclosure
comparison
for everyone, we watched the first movie. And then read the book.
Yeah.
And then we watched the second movie. Not like immediately in timeline, right? But
my God,
that was the timeline.
Yeah,
so
I finished that book.
We finished that book a couple of months ago.
3 books ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did not have the written material to fall back on in the first when we fell in love with the universe.
Yeah.
So this is not a book that we grew up reading or have huge emotional nostalgic.
I definitely read Dune probably at least once. Probably younger, simply because I read like all of the classic sci-fi.
I remember trying to read it when I was in high school, and I hated it. I was like, this book is dumb. Everything is really slow. This guy isn't explaining or describing literally anything. So like, I really needed the visuals of this movie to carry me into that world.
Sure.
So for me, this movie series is going to have a very special place in my heart because this is what got me into it.
What got you into the book?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm for sure that I read the book, but like, I always really loved the 80s movie, like ferociously. So like, I definitely read the book as a kid at some point in time, but the movie was just like, I was like way more interested in the movie. One, it's got Patrick Stewart in it. I'm a huge fan. And also it's just, that is a weird movie, dude. Oh shit, that's a weird movie, dog. Like, no hating on these modern Dune movies, but these modern Dune movies do not show you nearly enough the like fucking violently weird shit that happens in this universe, right?
Yeah.
Like you got the tiniest taste of that in the first Dune movie.
Yeah.
When like you see that weird spider human leather daddy thing crawling on the ground for like 3 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Right. And you're just like, what the fuck is that? But then they just like never address it.
Yeah, this like Harkonnen
pet thing.
Slave.
Right. So like you see way more of that shit. The Spacer Guild and the like fucking weird space travel stuff. You see like a lot more of the weird stuff in the original 80s movie than you do in these movies, right? And that's no hate on these movies. Like, I get it, whatever, right? But I love like big capital W weird sci-fi like that, right? And I always have. So like for me, it was always that 80s movie. And that's one of the reasons why when they came out, they're like, we're gonna do a new one. And I'm like, how is Timothy Chalamet a thing? Like I don't care about watching this movie. Like I don't remember the book well enough to really remember when I read it as a child. So like whatever about that. And the 80s movie is fantastic. So, you know, why are you trying to make a new one? Which is why I held off for so long before watching it. That being said, I kind of understand why the book fans, TM, are like anti the movies, right? Because you are cutting out a lot of stuff from these movies that was in the book.
Yeah.
Right? Now, probably that was because this is already a 3-hour movie and I'm not trying to take out a second mortgage in time to be able to fucking watch this movie.
Yeah.
So, like, I get that. And also, like, whatever, they probably have a plan. I get it. But, like, for me, the second half of the Dune book, my favorite character is Paul's sister.
Yeah.
Right? That little nightmare girl.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, if I'm going into this, the book's better already, and I don't get to see the little nightmare girl, then, like, obviously, I'm gonna be upset with this movie. Yeah. Right? Because, like, they took out the character that I like the best, right? So, like, I think that, like, I guess the sort of, like, rendered down to the thing that I'm trying to say is that if you are not a fan of the movies just because it's different from the book, I would say it behooves your consciousness to also remember that a book is like words on a piece of paper, and a movie is pictures that are flickering on a screen, and they're different things. So they can't do it exactly the same. And, like, yes, could they do it more close to the book? Of course they could. But at the same time, like, I'm of the opinion increasingly that if you're gonna do, like, turn a book into a movie, you're gonna have to cut stuff. People are gonna be upset with it, regardless of what you do, and you just kind of have to adapt to that, right?
Yeah.
Some people, Dune the book was very, very formatively important to them, and therefore, any modern remake is just not gonna hit it for them. And that's totally fine, dude, right? I think what's more important is, like, are you yucking other people's yums about this? Then you're the bad guy. But if you're just like, I don't want to see this, I like the book and this looks dumb, totally acceptable. Yeah. Just the same, if you've never read the book, or you have read the book and you're a fan of the movie first, and the books are like, whatever, don't yuck the book yums and be like, you gotta watch this, whatever the fuck, like, it's cool that people don't want to watch it, I mean, it's gonna make money, let's not worry about that. So
well, this kind of, like, brings up that, like, thought of, like, oh, well, the book was better, and this is a complicated thing,
the different stories, so
that I've talked about in a lot of different, like, videos in different ways, but, like, they are just different stories.
Yeah, they're just different
after reading the Dune book and watching this movie Dune 2, I feel like I can really say that this is just a different path that Paul took. The book is really, like, really talks about how he's trying to figure out the path, and he's trying to see his future, and he's trying to see the future, and he's trying to find the future that is the best version of the future, or to narrow down the ones of the possibility of death and that sort of thing. He's just doing a Doctor Strange. He's just trying to find a Loki. He's just trying to, like, find the future that works the best for him. And I would argue that this is just a different future than the one that the book shows.
Yeah. Well, but also, like, okay, so I think
yes, there are some fundamental differences, but think about it as, like, as Rick and Morty fans, there is a, like, multiverse that is different with every single change you make. Every single thing you do creates a split.
I think that I almost think that I totally agree. The Rick and Morty thing is a perfect example, but I almost think that's, like, too far down the line. Right? We already learned this lesson in the 80s. It's just comic books. The book is the Dune Universe 2473. The movies, these movies are Dune Universe 632. Yeah. And the 80s movie is Dune Universe 748. Who cares? Right? Like, they exist separately and distinctly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's the way that I think about it. It's like how, there's, like, 1,000 different Spider-Man. There's, like, 616 Spider-Man, and there's fucking whatever Spider-Man, 99 Spider-Man, like, all this kind of shit. So it's just a different Spider-Man. Is it the one that you like? No? That's okay. There are a bunch of Spider-Man comics that I'm not into.
But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't put respect on Spider-Man's name.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not like a huge Spider-Man fan.
I mean,
yes,
it's the principle of the thing you're saying.
Yeah.
Not the thing. Yeah.
Spider-Man
Anyway,
Spider-Man's fighting spider vampires was a fire set of comic stuff.
So there are quite a bit of differences between the book and the movie, and
we're definitely not going to list all of them. I think we're only
there's a lot of channels that are going to do that.
That are going to do a deeper dive than that, because I'm not trying to make this like a super deep dive into that. However, I think that the most important thing to know as a difference and to analyze as a difference between the book and the movie is purely time. This movie takes place in less than 9 months.
Yeah.
The book takes place over years, like 5 years.
Yeah.
Or 7 years
like
or something. So that's the big difference, right? You know, it's like, I'm booty bizzled that Nightmare sister isn't born, that absolute tyranny to the world, who's just like a little girl who knows everything too much, right? Every single moment in the book where she was talked about, I was in love with. I loved those parts of the book because she was just like a horror. People would be like, I don't like her. She looks at me like she knows too much. And it's like, well, that's because she does. Good luck. You know, like that kind of shit, right? I loved that character. And like, yes, missing that character is like bad, right? From my perspective, I'm just like, oh, I love that character. I'm sad that she's not there. But also, she's just not born yet.
Yeah.
So I don't really get to complain because it's not like they eradicated the sister character.
Yeah, that character
she's
still
just
exists.
Yeah, and she's played by flippin' what's her name?
Anna Taylor-Joy.
Anna Taylor-Joy, which I am so excited to see how they make that fucking make sense. Because as soon as I saw that, I was just like, Anna Taylor-Joy is not a child, and Paul Atreides looks like a fucking child. So,
yeah.
What time skip are we gonna do where he doesn't age, but she does? What is happening right now? Like, you know what? This is what I'm gonna say. It's a bold strategy. I'm gonna put the ball in Denis Villanueva or whatever's court and be like, hey, next movie, good fucking luck, buddy.
See what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah, I'll have faith in it.
And
see.
Frankly, I'm gonna allow one of these. You give me a hand wave?
Yeah.
I'm gonna accept it. I like Anna Taylor-Joy. She's a fun actress, right? And as long as she plays that nightmare sister like a nightmare, I'm gonna be happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, like, to the whole reason I'm bringing this up is that because of the temporal difference, this is where you get all of the changes. All of the changes are essentially justified by the fact that there's less time passing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, that's my big thing.
Yeah. I think that my big thing is I didn't like Chani in this. I understand why they did with what they did with Chani's character in this, because they'd have to explain an entire cultural shift about the way that marriages and relationships work. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that they had the time to, or that this is the right climate in the world to really be discussing that. But they very much made Chani like seem to not care very much about Paul. But Paul very clearly cares a lot about Chani, and like now they've got this kind of like weird love triangle thing happening, and I didn't like the way that Chani was always mean to him. It really sets it up for a future of the Dune universe where Chani isn't really that important to Paul. And we haven't read anything beyond the first book, so I don't know if there is anything.
Maybe in the second book she's like, fuck this guy, I'm out.
Yeah, but like she seems in the book like the great love of his life, and like she understands that he has to make a political marriage in order to make all this stuff work.
Yeah, in the book, not only do we get enough time developing the relationship between Paul and Chani that when he says, I gotta marry this princess, she's like, I understand that, right? Which gives her, I think, a little bit more control in her life, that she's like aware of what's going on and not just reacting, because he like essentially tells her ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right? So she's not just like reacting off of the idea that like he's whatever. But also, I think that as such, they didn't really develop the relationship between them. In this movie, like in the book, it felt like you know, that sort of like galactic love, like lovers across the stars.
Yeah, but like,
no matter what happens, they're
like
always
in
going to
the
be
movie,
together. But in the movie, it's just puppy dog love.
Well,
she's
no,
like, this
it's not
guy's
even
hot,
that.
and he's like, this chick's hot, and so they like do it a couple
No,
times.
it's not even that. That's not even puppy dog love. In the movie, they really make it feel like it's a situationship. Like they're not really committed to each other in the same way. They don't. She doesn't even particularly seem to like him that much.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and she's kind of like mean to him all the time. She doesn't. She only defends him like one time.
Well, and it really puts
like,
her
friends.
antithetical to the like Bene Gesserit story and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which, like, if she were antithetical to it, but like understood that, like, see, the weird thing is that like Paul knows, F that stuff. I'm gonna do my thing, but I need to use this story to accomplish my goals, right? And in the book, he like essentially explains that to her.
Yeah.
Right? That like I have to use this in order to A, not die, and B, like, you know, murder a bunch of these weird pale dudes who like effed my family up and whatever.
Yeah, and he
right?
still could have explained
but,
that
like,
in the movie.
book or in the movie, he never explains that. So to her, he's just like, maybe I got to do this religious thing, and she's just like, "What are you doing?" Like it was weird because I felt like there was definitely time for him to just be like, "Listen, I'm just pretending," and she's like, "Oh." Durr.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, because if he, at any point in time, if he had just been like, listen, I'm just pretending my mom is the one who's being religious and weird, then she would have been like, oh, duh. Right? Yeah. But he never, it felt like he never had the opportunity to say that, which is insane because they traveled together. Time passed. But like, yeah. He never had the chance to say that or the brain power to say that, which makes no fucking sense. Right? So like, it made that relationship weird. And speaking of relationships, they removed Jameis's wife.
Yes.
From the story. And
entirely.
I understand that is primarily because in the movie, Paul only travels to the southern region once, whereas in the book, he travels there several times.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess that's probably why they did it. But I think that by removing the Jameis wife situation, you remove a large portion of the culture of the Fremen, as well as the opportunity to learn and explain. This, she acted in the book as that perfect, like, expositional character for Paul to be like, I don't know about this, but I'm like too afraid to ask my girlfriend because I don't want to look like a fool. And Jameis's wife is able to be like, listen, well, this is how we do this. And he's like,
I would also have liked her to be in this. However, I think that they would not have had time in 2 movies to really have people understand that, because they'd have to go into the Fremen culture a lot more, which I would have loved to see. Do not get it twisted. Yeah. I would have absolutely loved to see that portrayed.
Under that logic, I would have rather seen this be 3 movies, not 2 movies.
Me too.
And given me more of what it is to be a Fremen, as well as what it's like to live on a world like Dune, and maybe explore some of Paul's mind stuff.
Yeah, which they didn't really do.
Which they barely explained.
So I think that 3 movies would have been better than 2.
For sure.
Because you would have been able to, I even have ideas for how you could structure that, but like you would have been able to explore a lot of that like character and interpersonal relationship building and the world building of the Fremen culture in a way that we didn't get in this.
Yeah.
But I think out of what it is that we have, this is the best outcome that it could have been.
Oh my God. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, because
totally.
there is no way.
It's not like ruined because Jameis's wife
There's
wasn't
just
in it.
no way that a studio that's not like A24 is going to greenlight a movie where a man has 2 wives.
Sure. Totally.
That's it.
Totally.
That's it.
3 by the end.
Or 3 by the end. Yeah. There's no way that a studio is going to greenlight that.
Well, and the whole Jameis wife thing is like we watched a thing about this somewhere, but like okay, whatever, like Frank Herbert's is not coming at this with the same sort of like equality between men and women as we are today, is probably the nicer way for me to put that. So like you would have had to definitely change something to make the whole Jameis wife thing like a little bit more chill.
I mean, really, all they would have to do is introduce
just let her
men
decide.
in the same place, or let her decide.
Yeah,
like that's
totally.
it. Yeah.
So, but like, I feel like her interaction with Paul and Paul's interaction with the sons, with James's sons, really matured him. And again, because of the lack of time in the movie, right? Like, because it was only like less than 9 months. I think that the movie version of Paul is still very much a child. And Chani is still very much a child.
Yeah.
Or teen or 20-year-old. I have no clue how old any of these people are in like the movie. But like they're still definitely portrayed more like children and they've like matured less. But again, it doesn't really ruin anything.
Yeah.
You know? So like I've said, the part that I miss the most from the book to the movie, which is Paul's sister, the nightmare sister. Just because I fucking loved her so much. She was so fun. Holy shit. Especially that last interaction with the other Reverend Mother, where she's just like, kill the abomination! And the girl's just like ruining her mind. It's great. But what is the part that you miss the most from the book to the movie?
So for me, it's difficult because the book, Frank Herbert just doesn't really describe a lot of stuff, man. He really,
that's up to you. That's for you. He's gonna tell you. It's for you to figure out.
He really leaves a lot of things up to interpretation. But the thing that I love the most about Dune is its world building, and I would say the thing that I miss the most from the book is inherently the world building that we miss of the Fremen society because of the way that they deal with Chani's character.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so and the lack of Jameson's wife, and the lack of that extra trip to the
those are like
Reach.
basically two things together for me, as opposed to just like, I didn't like Chani, she should have been different. But like, I didn't like what they did with Chani because it made it so that in the movie
reduction
we don't get,
of her character.
Yeah, it's we don't get all of that like really fascinating world building stuff. Although we do get other things, you know, we get the visuals to build that. So I'm really excited to like do a reread of this book now, having like sort of the visuals of the movie that I can I can kind of like fall back on. Totally.
So yeah, I mean, you know, is it the same as the book? No. Is it better or worse than the book? I don't know. That's entirely up to you, and I think a personal decision and shouldn't be like gauged by others' opinions. Do I recommend that you read the book? If you enjoyed either of these two movies, yeah, read the book or get it on audiobook or flipping whatever, dog. Like, do you? It's good. I enjoyed it. I definitely want to read the second book. And I definitely obviously want to rewatch the second movie as soon as it comes out for streaming, to see more of that. But yeah, you know, I feel like we've been going on about this for a bit.
Yeah.
I think that I've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say about Dune. Asterisk, how do they get those nukes in or out of the mountain?
And without anybody knowing.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah,
because they're just like, look at all these nukes. And I was expecting like a small warhead, and it's like the full missile. And I'm just like, all right. There's like a big door on the roof or something?
I don't know.
What do you think?
But you know
this
what?
Is?
It was a really...
You think they laid them down and then slid them out sideways under cover of darkness? Whatever. Also,
I don't know, but it was a really cool
the Spacer
change.
Guild stuff, which is sad, because the Spacer Guild is like very fascinating.
Yeah.
I am so interested in that, and the book only barely got into it.
Yeah.
So, like, again, I understand why they cut that stuff. It's not necessary to the plot or whatever. But yeah, you know what? I enjoyed it. I would love to know or hear what you thought of the movie. If you've read the book, what you thought of the book. If you hate the movies and you are only team book, tell me why. If you hate the book and you're only team movies, tell me why. And if you haven't seen the 80s movie, that's your homework for the day. Go watch that 80s movie. It's got
Sting
in it, right? Yeah, I was gonna say it's Sting, right?
Yeah.
It's got Sting in it, which is crazy. And Patrick Stewart's in it, and the graphics are like super 80s. And like all the outfits and stuff are super 80s, but you also see a lot more of the like weirder shit in the universe that isn't presented in these. So it's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. I've seen it several times because it's one of my like classic favorites, you know, for sci-fi movies. But yeah. What did you think of the movie? What did you think of the book? What did you think of the 80s movie? Let us know about all that kind of stuff you know, you can comment below or do whatever, and we'll be keeping an eye on comments and responding to you all such and like that. But yeah, I think that's all we have to say about Dune Part 2, Electric Shai Hulud. Also, Lightning Shai Hulud, fucking very cool idea. Put that in the next movie. You can have that one for free. So, you're welcome. I'm the best. But, yeah. Either way, I've been John Norgrove. This has been Wife. This has been Review Jive. I almost forgot what I was supposed to say there. Where we talked about Dune Part 2. And we will catch you guys next time for more reviews. And if there's something you would like us to review, comment below and we'll talk about it or whatever. So, yeah. We'll catch you guys next time, I guess. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Oh, shout out to our patrons. You guys are the best. I'll have the thing up in the thing. And stay tuned for patron updates. It's going to be changing, but for the better and for less money.
We're very excited.
Which we're very excited. I spent like all day working on it, so yay. But yeah, all right. We'll catch you guys next time and watch the movies.